Hey, and good Wednesday morning, everybody. Meteorologist Greg Majeski back with you here on the Weather Nerds YouTube channel with the weather report here on your December the 17th, 2025. Hope you guys having a great day, about halfway through the work week. Can you believe we're already just a week away from Christmas Eve? Unbelievable. And that's part of the weather story today, is just how unusually warm it's going to be for next week. That's part of this. Also, we're going to talk about the mountain of snow they're going to get in the west. We're talking feet of snow. That's no exaggeration. That's no clickbait. That's the honest to God truth. We're going to have some very, very high snow totals out in the west, as we're going to have pretty much an atmospheric river of some pretty good snows coming into California especially, and we're going to highlight some of those snow totals here going into next week. So it'll be quite impressive to say the least. Now, before we get into this full update, if you have not yet come on board with us just yet, please go ahead and consider subscribing to the channel. How about that unusual thing? A severe thunderstorm warning that just got issued up there in Idaho. Unbelievable that we're getting this kind of crazy weather. You would not think here on December the 17th we'd be getting some severe weather up into Idaho, but that's what we're getting right now with a destructive thunderstorm and some heavy rains out there. So got a lot to get into for this update. Again, if you're new here to the channel and if you like a no-nonsense guy who can put his years of experience as a meteorologist to work for you, please consider subscribing to the channel. It's free. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Very important, hit that notification bell, by the way, or you won't get alerted from YouTube on any of these updates. So I appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and get into, let's go and take a look what's going on here right now. Let's go get out of studio mode here. There we go. And again, our high lows yesterday, we are looking at, was minus 10 up there in Escort Station, Maine. And we had 87 in Glamis, California, down there in Southern California. Those were our extremes. You just heard that alert tone, everything going off here. We got this very impressive storm system up here that's setting up some severe weather up that way. So I'm going to kick out of what I normally do here so I can go up that way. So bear with me for a second while I go ahead and shift gears and go up this way so I can pull up that radar. There it is, up there, right up there. Let's see. You can't see it. It's up in the mountains. Yeah, it is not worth it. Can't even see it very well. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. Again, you got this warning that's out right here. 80-mile-per-hour winds. Damage threat is destructive. Southern Layton County, Nez Perce County, Lewis County, Garfield County, southeastern Whitman County, and Acid County goes till 6:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. This includes portions of Washington, Idaho, Palouse, Lewis and Clark Valley, foothills of the Blue Mountains, and Camas Prairie. Wow, that's pretty destructive. There's a lot of wind energy out there. I cannot show you this storm because it's up in the mountains. You just cannot see it. I'm looking at different radar stations. You just cannot see it. So because of the mountain views, but it's there. That's something very rare that you definitely don't see. And that's what we're seeing right now. Let's go back to the surface map here. Again, we've got a pretty good storm system. There's that warning up there with this storm front moving on there. There's a lot of wind energy up in here, folks. Just high wind warnings all over the place, which I'm going to show you. We've got this front that's kind of diving down this way. We got moisture coming out of the Gulf that's going to be kind of bringing some needed rains here across the southeast. That'll be going in for tomorrow. But check out the watches and warnings. Look, check this out. I mean, we're talking just unbelievable amount of wind energy out here. As a result, we do have some blizzard warnings up here across portions of Montana and out there to the west. Just some high wind energy. Big tight pressure gradient between the high pressure and the cold weather to the north is causing a pretty tense situation there with the winds. And even getting some winds even getting into Southern California. See some of that down here as well. So wind advisories out here in the pink. But this area, there's kind of yellowish brownish weather. That's high wind warnings, man. We got them all over the place dealing with the high winds out there in the west. Okay, now, as far as the thunderstorms are concerned, as you just saw, they're live here on this update. We do have severe thunderstorms up in that area, and that is painted there. You can see that right there, kind of showing up right up in that area here. And we got this area here. So we do have marginal risk for severe weather. We got thunderstorms, but very high winds above the surface. Very easy to bring that stuff down. That's why you get 80-mile-per-hour winds there with that new warning that was just issued there. So we're getting quite a bit of activity out there for today. General thunderstorms here across Missouri down into Texas. Again, looking at that right there. And that's your day one. Day two, we'll shift our activity here to the west, or to the east, I should say, from the northeast all the way down into the southeast. We got a little bullseye right there dealing with some weather tomorrow. No real big tornado threat with this, just some gusty winds. So Louisville's in this, Memphis, Nashville, Clarksville, Jackson, Missouri, all of the areas here under the gun there for that. And then your day three kind of takes it just along the East Coast as that storm system begins to exit there. So, very active weather day out there in the West, and that's where a lot of the activity is going to be here, really, for the next week. We got a big pattern change. We've been talking about this for days on end. This cold pattern we've had in the East, where basically what we've been seeing is a pattern that's been going basically like this. And we've got one more system to push on through, and then we're going to see some big old time ridging taking place here in the middle of the country. That's going to be kind of shunting everything where we're finally getting some rains into Northern California, eventually working its way down further south. But again, what you're looking at right here is the 3-kilometer 6Z NAM as we're watching that storm systems parade coming in off the West Coast. But it's really going to work its way down going into Friday. Notice it really kind of works its way down into California there. But a lot of heavy rains, a lot of heavy mountain snows going on into the next 60 hours, and it really picks up in earnest going into next week. So again, watching the storm system here in the east as it pulls on off. Wraparound snows, a little brief cool down here in the east. Here comes our next system, and then this next one is dropping further south into California. So let's go talk about our rainfall totals here. Quite a bit out here on the West Coast. We're getting a little bit here in the east. Higher in the Northeast, seeing a lot of yellows. That's 1 inch plus. Rains with that storm system coming in here in the east. A little bit higher rains down along the Texas Gulf Coast, but the West Coast continues to get pounded. They're going to continue to see this from the Cascades down into the Sierra Nevada, again, getting northern portion of California. Seeing a lot of heavy rains in here, 9 inches, 7 inches, 7 inches, getting into these purplish, above that purple color. You're getting very, very high rainfall amounts here across Washington State, Oregon, and Northern California. And this just goes through Friday. That just goes till Friday, 1 o'clock. So we're going to take you out further than that. Snowfall. Okay, here we go with this. This is, again, not a ton here across the northern tier. That's where that northern track has been going on here. Again, blizzard warnings up here just for a little bit of that snow and the high wind up there in Montana. And look at all the green out here. You're going to see a lot of this. When you see green on the map, we're talking feet of snow. We're talking, there's 50, 39 inches, 14, 75, 30 inches. We're talking a lot of snow out here in the feet, and it's just going to get worse going into next week, especially going into Christmas Eve out there on the West Coast. So like I said, when I show you that, it's going to blow your socks off. Just a lot of stuff. All right. Now, as far as the temperatures are concerned, we still got one more cold shot. We got that coming down here across the east. That's coming on down here into the Midwest in the Northeast. So we're going to cool it off going into Friday and Saturday, but then a big warm up goes into next week as that trough lifts on out. And we get some huge ridging in the middle of the country. We're going to see some record highs next week, folks. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, I think that's inevitable. We're going to see that. So let's look at the big pattern. Again, this is the jet stream. Has not changed really. This looks pretty similar to yesterday's run. So again, we got the trough here in the east. That's the cool down we're going to see coming in this weekend. Again, you got that going out like this. But this ridge is really going to break down here. Okay, that ridge out there in the west is going to break down. All right, so as this moves on out, we get zone. Look at this big old air high pressure dome that builds in here going in toward Christmas Eve. Wow, just a really huge high pressure system that's going to dominate this. And look at the jet stream. We're going way up in here. Again, maybe a little colder shot across New England. That's about it. But the big part of the country going into Christmas Eve and Christmas Day is going to be quite warm. There's going to be a pretty decent storm coming in on the West Coast here, going on the 24th, 25th. That's going to put a lot of snow out there on the West Coast. And we got a cool shot here coming down the 27th, 28th. So there's a little shot here coming across the Northeast, the Ohio River Valley coming in this way. Then we get the ridging back in here toward the end of next week. But that's going to be temporary because look what happens. It shifts off to the east. We get that trough back out in the west again, warm here in the east. So this is very similar to yesterday's reading. So the bottom line in this is we're not going to see any real major cold snaps across the country. Maybe right along the northern tier. We're going to definitely see some record warmth, and we're going to be buried the west out in snow, man. I'm telling you, big time. All right, so let's look at the 10-day. This is a 10-day loop. Again, we got the storm system on the East Coast, and we got a lot of stuff coming out in the west. Let me slow this down for you here. Again, we got this weather coming in here in the east. Here we go. We have some thunderstorms, and that's what we got to watch for the severe weather here across Kentucky and portions of Tennessee for tomorrow evening. Here's some wraparound snows. Got some heavy rains in the northwest, snows in the interior sections, which are going to be quite significant. We're going to drop that rain down into California exit rains off the East Coast. That pulls on off. And then we wait for this next storm system on Sunday coming on the West Coast. It's going to plow up there and shift on down to the south. And then another surge of moisture. It's going to be an atmospheric river for a few days here. Look at this. Just several days of it. So we're starting on the 23rd. And then for a couple of days, just nonstop moisture just coming in that zone for about 48 hours. So we're going to put a lot of snow up there in the Sierra Nevada. This moves inland. And that's about it for the next 10 days. So we're going to have to see pretty dry conditions across the southeast. Drought conditions are really starting to get become problematic across the southeast. And unfortunately, the climate outlook does not look any real big difference here going as we wrap up the year. Here's the rain totals here, 10-day total. Okay, going to get some decent rains across the northeast. We'll take it. You know, not a whole lot, 3/4 inch to an inch. The yellow again is over an inch. Some rains here in the east, not a ton, but boy, the West Coast is going to get buried. Just a lot of heavy rains here from Washington State all the way down into California, even getting into Southern California, even down to Los Angeles and into San Diego. So we're going to get West Coast going to finally get some action. They went about a month without seeing anything, but they're going to get somebody flip the switch, come back on. Check a look at these snow totals here. Again, this is a 10-day total. We get snows in the northeast, a little bit here across the mountains of West Virginia. This will be coming in here for this Friday and Saturday as that cold front moves on in there. But the snow is pretty much to the northern tier, right along the border here. And boy, the west is just going to get buried here. Again, anything at green is in feet. 56, 143 inches. I mean, my Lord, 97, 54, 56. Let's go down in here. 72. That's 6 feet of snow, folks. 79. And this is just the 10-day total. If I was going to take this out all the way, just to kind of give you that what the tendency is, we're even more than that. I mean, just unbelievable amount of snow. Now, the other thing I am noticing here, I want to point this out. Check out what's going on up here in Canada. Look at all of this snow that we're building here across the Hudson Bay, eastern part of Canada. Last year was a bit odd because we didn't get a ton of snow up there up in Canada. It was kind of a snow drought time. We're getting a lot of snow that's building up here, expected here to the end of the year. Why is that important? Because when we get a good snowpack up north, you know, eventually that cold air is going to come down. Okay, you get a good snowpack, that cold air can really build up pretty good. And as it comes down once again and we get the snow track to come down further south, that cold air doesn't modify as much. So watching that snowpack is a critical thing to watch. And they're going to get a ton of it here across Canada. So definitely going to see some very snowy conditions out that way. All right, let's look at the climate outlook. You know what this is going to look like. You know what this is going to look like. And, of course, I forget to reset this thing again because I'm an idiot. But here we go. All right, so here we go. Again, we got cold in the northeast. We got that shot up there. But it is going to be warm, folks, next week. We're going to set some records here, folks. We're going to set some records. Especially on Christmas Eve. Look at that. Christmas Eve looks like the warmer of the 2 days. And this stays in place right through the end of the year. It goes all the way to the 30th. So very dry we're going to continue with a very wet weather out in the west. Record-breaking snows out there in the west. Not out of the question there. We're going to be measuring it in feet, several feet. And very dry here in the east. And that dry trend stays in place right through the end of the year. So areas that are going to get a lot of rain and flooding conditions will continue out in the west. Very dry here in the east for the most part, especially the southeast, where the area lakes continue to dwindle. We're getting close to 10-year lows on a lot of lakes across the southeast. So that's what we're dealing with right now. This morning, again, we did have that severe thunderstorm warning that's currently sitting up there in Washington State, Idaho, for winds up to 80 miles per hour this morning. Again, you kind of see a lot of that wind energy out there. Flooding problems are going to be a problem. So the west is going to continue to stay very active with heavy rains, feet of snow, a lot of wind, some blizzard up in the mountain conditions like they continue up there in Montana. But a big portion of the country going into Christmas is going to be very warm with record warmth and not a lot of snow. Only areas right along the northern tier and in the northeast. So that's what we're looking at for right now. Who we got there this morning? This morning we got King Allen Fiscal. Oh, good to see you, brother. We got Cheese Grits Girl. Cheese Grits 196. Good to see you as well. Good to see you guys checking us in here for today. So, again, I appreciate you guys checking us out. I think we're up to, what are we up to? I think $57 right now. We're getting close to 100. When I get to 100, I'll do another ad buy. We'll try to see if we get some new people here to join our little channel. Okay, but I hope you guys have a great day. Got a weather-related question, please, by all means, post it down below. And we'll see you tomorrow as we're getting closer and closer to Christmas week. All right, you guys take it easy.